Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about breastfeeding. I'm going to be chatting about breastfeeding journey a little bit and my plans on whether or not I'm going to breastfeed baby number 2. This is a question I've been receiving a lot. It's a question that I received a lot back in the day when I expressed all of my grievances with breastfeeding while I was breastfeeding my son. If you're new here, this is baby number 2. I am currently almost 12 weeks and my son, Hugo, is 2. And I did breastfeed him. Here's a little bit of backstory just to kind of catch you all up really quickly. My son is 2. I did breastfeed him. My wonderful aunt is a lactation consultant and a registered nurse, and she was so wonderful and generous with her time and really walked me through the breastfeeding process. And if it wasn't for her, I would have quit like the day I tried to get him to latch, because it was really tricky to try to get him to latch. And I found that first night in the hospital, I thought I was breastfeeding correctly, but I wasn't. The next morning, my right nipple was really chafed and cracked a little bit, and so then I started breastfeeding him on my left. We eventually discovered that I needed the assistance of nipple shields, which are like thebomb.com, and the only reason that I was really able to breastfeed for as long as I did. And eventually, I can't remember exactly how many months it was, but I started just feeding him off my left side. You can imagine like what my boobs look like now, a little bit crazy. But my right like stopped producing as much milk as my left, and we were having a lot of difficulty with his sleep, and eventually that was just a perfect storm for just breastfeeding him off the left. When he was around 8 months old, we started supplementing with formula, and eventually Hugo stopped breastfeeding. Like, even though I hated breastfeeding, like hated it, I just hated the sensation, I just didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. I had still thought to myself, like, okay, I'll still breastfeed him for as long as he wants to breastfeed, because it was sort of no skin off my back. And even though personally I didn't like it, I had been doing it at that point for, again, like over 8 months. So I was fine with it. And I was thinking like, okay, if I can get to 12 months, great. Unless he wants to stop sooner, and he did. He just one day decided that he didn't want to latch anymore, and that was that. And so then we started formula feeding him until we switched, I think when he was 12 or 13 months, to Ripple milk, which we love. So I've documented all of that in videos in the past, and like I mentioned, my journey with breastfeeding was definitely a rocky one, even with all of the wonderful support. I had amazing support from my aunt. I had wonderful support from my doula, my best friend growing up. She helped me like not only through labor and delivery, but then just with like emotional support throughout the breastfeeding struggles. And from my mom, from my husband, like everyone was so supportive. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't something that I enjoyed. It wasn't a sensation I liked. It wasn't a bonding experience that I felt that I needed. It just wasn't the experience that I enjoyed most of having, like, about having a newborn. So naturally, a lot of people have been asking me, because I was so frank with how much I disliked breastfeeding before, Erica, are you gonna be breastfeeding baby number 2? And if so, like, what are your plans? So, like I mentioned, I'm only 11 weeks, almost 12 weeks. So, it is still really, really early in this pregnancy, and I reserve the right to change my mind at any point. However, with all of that being said, I still do plan to breastfeed, or at least try to breastfeed baby number 2. If my aunt is able to lend me her time again, I would absolutely love to pick her brain, and I think we'll as a team be maybe a little better situated for baby number 2. I'll obviously, having had experienced it before, feel a little more confident. Every baby and every breastfeeding journey is different, and that's why, not that I feel hopeful that like the breastfeeding journey will be, you know, better, but that's why I'm willing to give it another chance. Is one, like, I know how good it is for baby. I know like how great it is for that like developmental relationship between mom and baby, and how good it is for mom too. But more so than that, I know that it could possibly be different, and I could possibly feel differently about it, but I won't know that until I try. That being said, so many caveats. That being said, I am always and have always supported the mom's right to choose. And I very vividly remember how difficult breastfeeding was for me and how I think my mental health suffered as a result. And I don't want to put myself in that position again, and I can't put myself in that position again because I have a toddler. I have a home and a toddler to take care of, and I just can't be back in that same situation. And you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? My son was only eating off one side of my boob. We couldn't really figure out why he wouldn't really latch on my right side. Was it my nipple or was it his latch? He wasn't sleeping well. Like, were all of those things correlated? I have no idea. Doesn't matter now, probably not. But I just can't go through those like intense sleepless nights for 8, 9, 10 months again. I can't. So things are definitely gonna be different with baby number 2, even though I plan on breastfeeding. So my plan is to hopefully talk to my aunt again, come up with a little bit of a game plan with her. Hopefully if she's able to, she can come to the hospital and help me in that first day like she did last time. And if not, I know that my hospital does have lactation consultants on staff, which was so great the last time. I'm going to order nipple shields and bring them with me because Lord knows those nipple shields were such a lifesaver before. Hopefully, being that my boobs have breastfed before and now they are like breastfeeding boobs, hopefully it won't be so hard to get my baby to latch without the nipple shield. So maybe I'll need the nipple shields for the first few times, and then maybe it'll be an easier transition without the nipple shield. Of course, like I mentioned, like every baby is different, so I don't know what this baby's jaw is gonna be like. I don't know what their tongue and their lips are gonna be like. I can only hope that all of that stuff is relatively easy and isn't an issue, and if it is, I feel confident in the people I have surrounding me to help fix those problems so that hopefully we can continue our breastfeeding journey. In terms of pumps, so my aunt had lended me a hospital grade pump, which was such a lifesaver and so amazing because the pump that I had been given was the MEDELA, like that little box pump from the insurance company for free. And it was good, but it definitely did not have the suction power that the hospital pump had. So I'm hoping hopefully we can figure that out again. And I have different insurances go around, so I don't know if that'll change the type of pump I'm eligible for. I really like that LV pump, which is the like put it in your bra and the cordless pump, which I think would be so incredibly helpful, again, because I have a home to take care of and a toddler running around. So I'll look into that. I know that those are crazy expensive. So talk to my aunt, have the pump, have the nipple shields, and then really my game plan is to just take it a day at a time. Take it a day at a time. I really wanted to, I want this time to try to build up a storage of milk. I wasn't able to with Hugo. I just wasn't producing enough. And something that I would love to do with this pregnancy that I didn't do with Hugo was eat and ingest more lactation cookies and treats. Just give me all the treats. I wasn't taking fennel, I think it's like fennel something. Fennel, I'll leave the name here of the like, herb, I think. I sound like so ignorant. There's something that you can take that will help, or is like said to have helped increase your supply. And that's the ingredient that they like put in the cookies and all the other things. So I'd love to have those on hand and try to incorporate those more into my diet. I don't know why I didn't last time, because I think I could have really benefited from them, but I wasn't producing enough milk. So after Hugo would eat and I would like try to pump, I was barely getting anything. I'd get like maybe an ounce, maybe. And even pumping my right boob, like even like let's say he ate off my left boob, then going to pump my right boob, still like wasn't producing anything. So that was really frustrating at the time, but again, I think there are things I can do this time to maybe get different results. And in a perfect world, I'd love to build up a freezer stash of milk. That way, fingers crossed, as baby gets a little bit older, maybe Jeff can start doing like night feedings. And that's something that I am gonna do the same. We did introduce a bottle to Hugo. Hugo didn't really seem to have a problem. Like, he didn't have nipple confusion, so he didn't have any issues with the boob versus the bottle versus the pacifier we tried to have him take, but he never did. So I think that's something we'll probably try again this time. Again, every baby is different, so who knows, but because we didn't have an issue with it, sorry, my feet are falling asleep. Because that wasn't something that we had an issue with before, I feel like that's something that we'll probably do again. We love the TOMO bottles. Those are definitely the ones that I will invest in again. And I like the Dr. Brown's bottles. They just had so many darn pieces, and like cleaning all those pieces, I don't have time for that now. So the TOMO bottles are the way to go if you want easy bottle work. Formula, that's a big one, right? A lot of people talk about not wanting to introduce formula. Are you going to introduce formula? Here's the thing. Again, we're going to take it day by day. And depending on what my boobs do, depending on how the baby is, depending on all of those things, we're not against introducing formula and using formula. And I know that that is like a little mind-blowing, maybe a little controversial coming from someone who is plant-based, because we gave our baby cow's milk formula. But again, I am mother sanity above everything else, because if you don't feel sane and if you don't feel like you can be a good mom, then like the rest of it, what does it matter? You know, like everything else is gonna fall apart if you don't feel good mentally and physically and emotionally. So that's, I mean, that's really my biggest mantra and my biggest like overarching theme going into this next baby, this next adventure, is that my mental health comes first. And so if that means, okay, I'm not pumping enough milk, breastfeeding is going fine, but I feel like I need a little bit of a break, then yeah, we will give formula. And you know what? That baby's gonna be fine. The baby's gonna be fine. We will all be fine. The world will continue to rotate and like it'll be okay. So that's my opinion on that. I always just suggest to moms like not to put that guilt on themselves. And I know sometimes it's so hard because most of the time you're not putting the guilt on yourself, other people are putting the guilt on you. And it's hard not to feel guilty when very close family members and friends are giving you little tidbits of information that are making you feel guilty, maybe even inadvertently, right? Like no one wants to hurt you, hopefully purposely, but when you're a new mom, you get so much information being thrown at you and it can feel so overwhelming. So my biggest advice, especially to new moms, is take it a day at a time and put your mental health before everything else. Okay, and when it comes to like nursing bras and all that other good stuff, I'm still gonna be using the bras that I really enjoyed my last pregnancy, which are just the Gap, just like the Gap sports bras. They're super basic. I'm not wearing one now, so I can't show you, but I pretty much wear one in like every other one of my videos. They're really simple sports bras. I'll link them down below. They're pretty straightforward, and I found that they were stretchy enough that I could just whoop, like take one right over my boob and then bring it right back up when I needed to. They're also snug enough that if you're gonna wear pads, whether they be the disposable nursing pads or the reusable ones, the pads aren't gonna go all over the place. I remember being kind of frustrated with the disposable pads because I did find that the disposable pads kind of did their own thing and like had a life of their own. And I found that I really liked the reusable ones, and I would just slip them right into my sports bra and they stayed there and it was perfect. So I'm gonna probably order more of those because I think I only have like 4 or 5 and they're like aging up there. So I think I'll order a few more, but those ones for me at least have been the best. They're not specifically nursing bras, but also like you're not gonna be nursing forever, and it's kind of nice to know that they work very well for nursing, but then you can also continue to wear them once you're done nursing. Okay guys, I think that's everything that I wanted to discuss about breastfeeding baby number 2. I hope I was clear and concise and not too rambling, and I hope I painted sort of a picture of what we plan on doing when it comes to breastfeeding for baby number 2. It's so hard to know. Again, I'm so early in my pregnancy, so I reserve the right to change my mind, but that's the current plan. If there's anything that I missed out on or sparks any questions you may have, definitely leave them down in the comments. I will get to answering them down there. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow along on my motherhood and lifestyle journey. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.